jump up, people, are you ready?
Hello everyone again and welcome to On Tour. It's the cricket program where we look back at the Sri Lanka tour, of course, of the West Indies. This time we've traded the Reds for the Whites. Of course, the one-dayers and the T20s are finished. It's now Test cricket time, and we've also changed the balls because we're not playing now with the white ball, we're playing with the red ball. I'm Barry Wilkinson. What a fantastic start for the West Indies on day one of the first test being played, of course, at the Sir Viv Richards Stadium there in North Sound, Antigua. Let's have a look at the scorecard after day one. The West Indies, they won the toss and they threw the Sri Lankans in, and Sri Lanka bowled out for a paltry 169, led by Lahuru Thirumani, who made 70, and Dikawela, he made 32. In fact, they were 92 for 5, and that 58-run stand took them to 150 for 6. Before a brilliant spell by Jason Holder totally cleaned them up. 5 for 27, his 8th 5-wicket haul at this level. Kemar Roach chipping in, bowled tremendously well, 3 for 47. At the close, West Indies played without any alarms. They're 13 without loss, and they trail by some 156 runs going into day two. What a day. Gentlemen, of course, we have our star-studded panel, led by none other than Sir Clive Lloyd, the former Ghana and West Indies Test captain, Johnny Barron, our BBC correspondent, and Philip Wallace, the former Barbados and West Indies hard-hitting opening batsman. I'll start first of all with you, Sir Clive. Your thoughts on the day after the West Indies dominated?
Yes, it's a very good day's cricket. They've stuck to the task. One or two of the fast bowlers didn't really bowl the line and length that was needed, but they got the wickets that were needed, and I must say Jason's performed extremely well. The catching could be a little better, but if you put a side in and they make 158, well, you have done very well. So it's obvious that they're now in a very good position, and if they bat well and bat long enough, they can be in the ascendancy.
Your thoughts, Johnny Barron, on day one?
Yeah, I think a really impressive day, largely, for West Indies. I think Sir Clive made a fairly valid point that they were a little bit off their lines and lengths, Gabriel and Joseph, perhaps, with the ball. But to be honest, a really strong finish by Jason Holder. And Sri Lanka, well, they look like a side that are short of confidence with just one win in all formats in their last 13 matches. Philip Wallace?
Well, I think it's a very good start, West Indies, in this first test match. Obviously, we saw the success in Bangladesh. A new captain has been installed, and we've seen the fruits of his labor in Bangladesh shown today at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in North Song and Antigua. So a very good start to day one for West Indies.
The first thing I want to discuss, gentlemen, is the 11 for the West Indies. We're looking at the 11 now, and the team graphics showing that Darren Bravo was left out of the side, along with Jamal Warrican, who I didn't think was a bit of a surprise. Quick one from you, Fido. Were you happy with the 11 that we're seeing, and would you have dropped Darren Bravo as well from this 11?
Well, to drop Darren Bravo, obviously, after picking him on two poor tours, Barry, is a big decision. When you look at it, at the press conference, the lead select and the captain said he's the number 3 batsman and he's best capable to bat spin. So when he wasn't in that final 11 this morning, I was quite surprised. I didn't have him in the squad at all if I was going to pick a squad. But to pick him in the squad and not playing, I think it's a hard blow. And to play 4 quicks at North Song along with Kyle Mears, I think we might be a batsman too short, although we're in a good position. But I would have given Darren Bravo the benefit of the doubt going into this first test match.
Johnny, we're looking at the rankings overall here, the ICC Test Rankings, and the West Indies and Bangladesh, to tell the truth. West Indies and Sri Lanka, to tell the truth. It's the number 7 and number 8 series. How important, then, is a victory for either team in this series?
I think it's really important. I mean, one of the narratives through the course of the last couple of months or so has been the resurgence of West Indies, and we have been there before. We know we have. Of course, you have to look at the performance and what people said after England's last tour here a couple of years back. But West Indies, need to beat those that are around them, beating the likes of Bangladesh away and trying to put up a good performance against the likes of Sri Lanka. If you can start picking off those sides in this frontier competition at the bottom end of the rankings, it's really, really important. And well, Sri Lanka, to be honest, they do look like a side that could well be humbled here by the West Indies.
Well, before we dig into the day and talk about Jason Holder, the undoubtedly star of the day, so Clive, I'll give the opportunity to talk to Jason, who I know is watching. There were some comments attributed to you about Jason Holder in the Ghana section of the media, which might have stated that you thought he might have outlived his usefulness as captain of the West Indies team. Did you actually say that? Please clarify what was said, if anything was said at all.
Oh, that was never said by me, and they've apologized, and they would like to publish something. So it's with my lawyers, and they'll be dealing with that. I'm very disappointed that a newspaper where two of my family worked for this newspaper since the 60s, and I think it's so terrible. I didn't think that somebody would do that. That you can write an article and just, apportion blame to somebody. And no, I'm very disappointed, and I hope Jason understands that that is not me. I would never do something like that. I have the highest regard for the young man, and I've said so openly, and I'll say it again. I think he's one of the finest cricketers we have, and I think he's got a great future. If he's not captain, he still will perform. That's what he does. He's that sort of cricketer, and his performance today shows that he's got a long time in our cricket, and it's good for our cricket and it's good for world cricket.
Where did he go right today in his 5 for 27?
Well, I think he bowled a better line than the others, and he did something with the ball. It's quite obvious that the pitch. They must have seen something in the pitch that they played 4 fast bowlers, and it did something all day. This guy Kemar today bowled some beautiful balls. It swung around. There was pace. So they've got their work cut out too, and I'm sure that I was very happy, very pleased with the way they approached their innings tonight. And they have to look to get somewhere around 350. Anything over 350, they will be in the ascendancy.
Fellow, I mean, when you look at Jason, his impeccable line and length, his character, you see someone who is indeed earned that position, which he's re-earned it now, as the #1 all-rounder in world cricket. Those are the stats there of him being the #1 all-rounder. His 5 for 27, your thoughts on his performance?
But first of all, he's deserving to be the #1 Test all-rounder of the world from the performances before this one. I thought today he looked a lot better. He looked freer. He bowled with a lot more enthusiasm, and his line and lengths were very good. And Sir Clive said it. He got the ball to nip around, and he came around the wicket to the left-handers, and he was causing a lot of problems. And I thought that when you look at Jason, he wanted to bowl. He had no pressure on him on setting the field or when he's to come to bowl. That was the duty of Craig Brathwaite, the newly appointed captain. And I thought he has fitted in quite nicely into that 4-prong pace attack. And you have to commend him. 17.4 overs, Barry, and to pick up 5 for 27, his 8th 5-wicket haul. It's commendable for a man who has a bright future in West Indies cricket. And he's playing all 3 formats. So he now also has to look at himself in relation to fitness. But I thought today he held his hand up, and I think he should be able to keep that ball and put it on his mantle. It's a very good performance for him.
Ironic, it's funny you say that, because I actually saw him ask the umpires for the ball at the close of play. So I think he does have the intention to do that. Yeah, Johnny, I mean, you look at how this man has played against England. He was one of the stars there against New Zealand, even though the West Indies were beaten. He skipped the Bangladesh tour, but his form continues even though he's not captain, Johnny Barry.
Yeah, he's an outstanding cricketer, and I think what the West Indies selectors and actually the wider West Indies public will be pleased about is this was a really quick transition process, if you like. He's had the ODI series to come to terms with the decision, and he's come back into the side for these Test matches with renewed verve. He, as I think Philo has mentioned, he just looked without the world on his shoulders. He bowled with immense pace and immense accuracy, and used the ball in really good conditions, didn't he? Because it nibbled around all the way through the course of the day. And I thought he was absolutely exceptional throughout. And I think to come through it with a player like Holder, who's performing at his very best, is almost the perfect outcome.
All right, you're watching On Tour here on Flow Sports. When we come back, we'll have a look at Kemar Roach, who also bowled outstandingly, and indeed some other performers, Lahu Thuramani, who made 70 fighting from the top. All to come on tour. Stay with us.
Just put up your hand, it's time to party. Turn it up to the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand, it's time to
So welcome back then to On Tour. Again, the West Indies, of course, bowling Sri Lanka out for 169. Play will resume just in about 15 minutes or so. But of course, we had the West Indies closing at 13 without loss. Philo Wallace, 3 for 47 from Kemar Roach. He has the most wickets in Test cricket in that team, and he certainly showed that he's worth his play. You don't think about dropping him again. It happened in Bangladesh. They actually dropped him in Bangladesh, and he's now come back with some fire in his eyes, just at what Stuart Broad did when the England team dropped him, came back and got 27 wickets in a series. I think Kemar Roach has that same kind of gumption.
But Barry, he's well rested because he missed that last test match in Bangladesh. And this is the first test match he played since then. And I'm happy for him to start this series picking up 3 wickets and looking good. And what I saw from Kemar Roach is a Kemar Roach of old. He was setting up the batsmen, getting the ball to leave them twice and then nip back in on the third occasion. And his pace was up and he looked happy. Obviously, he's bowling with a smile on his face because everything looks good. He looks in good rhythm. He looks in good motion, unlike Shannon Gabriel. But I thought that today, Kemar Roach really looked the part, and he supported Jason Holder wonderfully well, and also Captain Craig Braffett. So a few good chords have been struck today with our bowlers, our seam bowlers, and I hope that Roach can now continue to build on this because normally he's a very poor starter in a series, but today he came up with all guns blazing. I'm happy for him that he picked up those 3 wickets, full of confidence.
Now, you know, we want to add, of course, some neutrality to this discussion. And you look at the fact that we had Lahu Thuramani, who made 70. He batted kind of like how Craig Brathwaite bats. His 70 only had 4 fours, but he was there from the beginning. And he showed that he had the tenacity to bat long, stay there, and anchor the innings. What were your thoughts, Johnny Barron, from the international perspective on the 70 made by Thuramani?
Yeah, Thuramani, I think, is an outstanding young player, and he had a really good series against England. Actually scored 111, averaged 40 in that series in the last 2 test matches that Sri Lanka played, and was at the absolute bedrock of this Sri Lankan performance. One of the problems that Sri Lanka are having is they keep getting tumbled out for under 200 in Test match cricket. This is the 5th time in the last 9 innings that they've failed to get to 200. But Thuramani, while he was there, Sri Lanka had great hope. But of course, when he was the 7th wicket to fall, the rest fell like a pack of cards.
So, Clive, you know, there were so many other things to discuss on this opening day. You look at the fact that Isiah Joseph didn't look himself. You look at the fact that Shannon Gabriel looks so short on match practice. Let's discuss those 2 elements. Let's start first of all with Shannon Gabriel. Bowled the ball wide, bowled the ball down the leg side. His pace was down. Your thoughts on him, and why do you think that he did not look his best after being such a consistently good performer against the Sri Lankans in the history of his cricket?
They must be training. When they go to the nets, you just don't you should be able to bowl after the nets to try and get it right. You haven't been playing a lot of cricket. And who is monitoring them when they're at home? Who do they know if they're training? Do they know if they're bowling in the nets? Or do you need them there earlier so that they can get the necessary practice in? And that is the problem and I thought on this pitch here, where the ball is doing a bit, there's a bit of pace there, that he would have been one of their bowlers to be rather difficult to play. And but he didn't. He was all over the shop. So they couldn't be aggressive either because they didn't have the line and the length that is needed. So I think that they realize that they haven't done very well in this innings, and they should be in the nets tomorrow, getting the ball on a spot and trying to get there to win this test match once we get enough runs in the next day or so.
And Isiah Joseph, Philo, you know, the last time he played a test match there in Antigua, it was the morning that his mum passed away. And, you know, he didn't show any effects, of course, then. and he ended up having a pretty good test match against England. But today, playing again in Antigua, he just didn't look himself.
Yeah, I find that Alzari is a little enigma, but Barry. We saw the ODIs, he looked aggressive and he was bowling wonderfully well, good rhythm. And now today, in the first day of this test series, he just didn't look himself. Maybe he wasn't comfortable, something was wrong, but certainly the ball wasn't coming out right. And one thing I can remember speaking to the young man a couple of years ago in Trinidad, and I told him, never bowl angry. Don't do anything in cricket angry because you won't do it well. I think that when Alzari is not comfortable, when he's upset, he was horribly wrong. And I would like him to just take a look at himself and just try to be as calm as possible when going onto a cricket field and try to enjoy what is happening around him. I know all fast bowlers like to take wickets, but there's some days where you can bowl well and you don't get any wickets. And if your other partners are taking wickets, you just have to hang in there and bowl your line and lengths and pick up one or two. Today we didn't see that, and that is something that he needs to work on. And obviously, coach, the bowling consultant, Roddy Exit, will have a word or two to Isiah Joseph.
Johnny, an important day for Craig Brathwaite. First time that he's now been given the captaincy. Of course, it's not the first time he's captained the team, but it's the first time he's been appointed captain. How did he perform with his troops on day one? We saw the outstanding run-out, which perhaps was one of the pluses for him. But your overall thoughts on Craig Brathwaite on day one?
Well, he was the man in possession coming into this test series on the basis, of course, those two outstanding wins in Bangladesh. And I thought he marshalled his troops really well. And especially actually when he recognised that Isiah Joseph and Shannon Gabriel were slightly off the money early on, he made changes. And seemingly all his bowling changes through the course of the day seemed to work very nicely for him. Big, lively attack, of course, with effectively 5 seamers and 1 spinner. And they all bound together for him very nicely. But I thought he was an exceptional captain today with his fielding decisions, fielding positions, and with the bowling decisions that he made through the course of the day.
Yeah, so Clive, we also look at some of the umpiring decisions. The umpiring was quite good today. It was also the debut of Gregory Brathwaite, the umpire, of course, in Barbados in his very first test. We gave him a minute on the program. Your thoughts on his decisions, and he got much more right than he perhaps did wrong. He had a good first day introduction into Test cricket.
Yes, he looked rather cool. He didn't look perturbed at all. I thought he did very well, and I hope he continues. He looks like he'll be a very good umpire for the future, and he's not my age or Philo's age, so he's got a long time there.
Well, on a correction on that, I think he is Philo's age. You were saying, Clive?
You said fast bowlers being angry. Oh boy, I want my guys to be angry. You could imagine Croft being angry, Andy Roberts.
Oh, no.
They bowl line and a length, but it's going to be, you'll be in the soup kitchen there.
I love it. Look, guys, we're going to come back. We're going to hear from Jason Holder, and then we're going to get your quick thoughts before we hand over for play on day 2. You're watching On Tour here on FlowSports.
Put up your hand, it's time to party. Turn it up to the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand.
So we're back on Tour. Of course, there's no player of the day, but if there was to be a player of the day, undoubtedly it would be Jason Holder. 5 for 27, his 8th 5-wicket haul. After the day's play, he spoke with Alex Jordan.
What a wonderful achievement, Jason. 5 for 27. You were great today. How does it feel to break the shackles in your return to Test cricket, playing without the captaincy responsibility?
Yeah, it's good to get back out on the field for West Indies, man. Obviously, it's been a couple months, and I always relished an opportunity to come and play for West Indies. So, yeah, just glad that today was my day and I could contribute heavily towards the team's cause, and glad I could put the team in a pretty good position.
A very good position indeed. Well, how would you describe the surface here today? Do you think it offered a bit of purchase for your style of bowling?
Yeah, there was a bit in it. A bit of moisture, obviously, up front. I thought the bowlers extracted it quite well. Probably didn't utilise the new ball as well as we would like. But it's good to see myself and Kemar, stepping up, especially in that phase, that early period, to really break the shackles and get into their middle order. We knew that if we got into their middle order, we could make some pretty good inroads and then put their lower half under pressure. It's quite a long tail, in our opinion. That's something that we kept in the back in our minds.
Well, a successful day for West Indies. Fantastic first day of the test. And of course, the first day as captain for Craig Brathwaite, your colleague and fellow countrymate. How do you think he went?
Yeah, it was a good day for him. Yeah, obviously things went well for us. We were able to bowl on his side within the first day, which is a very, very good sign. And it's good that we were without loss at the end of close play. So I think that was really, really crucial. And more often than not, when you put yourself in these kind of positions, you're always in the ascendancy going into the latter half of the game. So hopefully we can keep it going and press home the advantage.
We saw a few clips of you on TV today talking about the other players, and you said Craig's going to wear his shades, definitely. And he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I got that right. A few other things I hope to get right, Stay tuned. And hopefully, we can, battle the entire day tomorrow and put a really good first in this total up.
Jason, we saw a great test of your character today, as we normally see. Congratulations, well played.
Thank you.
Congratulations again there to Jason Holder. Gentlemen, we're going to be starting day 2 shortly. I'll start first of all with you, Johnny Barron. The West Indies 13 without loss. Your predictions for day 2?
Well, they're in a very strong position, it's safe to say, and really Sri Lanka need early wickets. They've got plenty of pace attack, the likes of Chamira and Lakmal, but it'd be interesting to see how Embal Denya goes, of course. 15 wickets against England. He was tossed the ball at the close of play today. I think he could play a major role tomorrow if Sri Lanka to get back in this test match.
Philo Wallace?
Barry, this evening we saw the West Indian openers, Campbell and Captain Brathwaite, weather the storm, 13 overs for 13 runs. Maybe 6 months ago, that would not have happened. So obviously there's some kind of respectability that they're shown this evening for the Sri Lankan bowlers. When they come tomorrow, obviously they need to look to score runs and get up to that 169. And they have to play, as we always say, session by session. Try not to lose wickets in clusters and try to build partnerships throughout the batting innings and look to get over 350, even if they get up to 400.
So, Clive, we haven't spoken a lot about the conditions. The pitch obviously has something in it on the first day for the bowlers. How do you expect the track to play on day 2, and your thoughts of the West Indies, what they should do to perhaps get that 350 that you spoke about?
Well, it all depends on the roller tomorrow. And if it could sort of, have an effect in the sense that there's not a lot of pace in it. But I like the way that this guy Campbell played. I was very impressed. He left alone some very good balls, just on about his off stump. He looked good. I hope he continues, and I hope he gets a big score, because I think he's one of those guys, if he gets away, he will score quickly, because he hits the ball quite well. But I was very impressed with him and the way he batted. Well, Craig is going to be there. He's going to battle like everybody, like we know he can do. And I would say, do like Clyde Walcott says, battle on. Time is there. If they can get to 350, anything over 350, they should win this test match. As they say, the old saying, the ball is in their court.
Indeed it is. All right, thank you so much, Philo Wallace, Johnny Barron, and Sir Clive Lloyd. We're going to see you guys after play on day 2. You're watching the West Indies versus Sri Lanka tour, of course, at North Sound in Antigua. It's time to join us for day 2 action. And we're going to say bye-bye for now and hand over to Ian Bishop and the rest of the commentary.